I'm the Reverend Rachel Hayes, minister of the Unitarian Universalist Society of Amherst. I use she, her pronouns. Welcome to you, old friends and new, young and old, in the Zoom and in the sanctuary. You are an essential part of our celebration today. Whether today is your first or your 1000th Sunday in our midst, we are stronger because you are with us. We are one people of many beliefs, many origins, sexualities, and genders. We are all growing, all learning, all loved. Just as you are welcome here. Today we celebrate the summer solstice and Juneteenth by listening to the call to rest. All of the poetry in today's service was written by Atina O'Danner. Atina O'Danner is an unapologetically Black, time-traveling poet activist who dwells in the past to survive the future. She writes toward beloved community, Black liberation, and collective imagination. Atina lives near the traditional homelands of the people of the Council of the Three Fires and of the Menominee, Miami, and Ho-Chunk nations, with her partner, pets, and 2 free Black children. You may notice that I take my mask off to speak and then put it back on again to sing. Any of our worship leaders who unmask have tested negative for COVID this morning. Andrew.
Our opening words this morning are from Atina O'Danner, Evolution of Worship. First, there was metal and fire, then water, beings, and bodies, something, some way in the ether, had the knowing to draw them together. First sun and sky by my father, then church by my great-grandmother, I gathered from things seen and unsaid that neither was more than the other. First, there was flesh and water, and then there was flesh and water, and then there was flesh and water again. Our story, our path, our nature. In my hands I hold metal and fire. I look to sun and sky. I live in the flesh and the water. Receiving, I tend to my altar. Come, let us worship together.
I invite you to say our chalice lighting words with me. Yeah. We light this flame to invite a world of peace, where we heal the wounds, where we share what we have with one another, where justice is another word for relationship, and we listen for what love has to say. I invite you to rise in body and spirit to sing our first hymn, When the Summer Sun is Shining, number 66 in the hymnal and on the screen.
Now I'm going to talk about the actual Earth summer solstice. So around the world, different cultures, different communities have celebrated the solstice in different ways. One of the things that they did in England, because it is the time of the crops have already been planted, and we haven't hit harvest time yet. And so they would take this little time to celebrate the coming harvest and the finishing of the planting. And they would leap over bonfires. And it was said that the highest jump was how high your crops would grow that year. We are obviously not doing this in religious education. We have stories from Stonehenge and the pyramids of Giza and the Chichen Itza in Mexico. All of these line up in some way with the solstices. The pyramid at Chichen Itza is on the summer solstice, exactly half in shadow and half in direct sunlight. And then we have modern day farmers who don't have to pay as close attention to the summer solstice, the winter solstice, to the equinoxes, to the coming storms. They still pay attention, but we have better weather forecasting. We have better ideas of how things work. And yet, these days are still important. These days still govern the year. And so we are hitting this midsummer festival in Sweden. We are hitting this first day of summer on Tuesday. And we are celebrating that the planting is finished, and we have not yet hit the harvest. And there is this small amount of time for rest, this time where we still tend the crops, we still weed, but it is not as frantic as that harvest that is going to start in just a month and a half. And it is not as hectic as getting all the planting done on time. And so I encourage you to think, if you are not a farmer, like I am not a farmer, where you can find that small amount of still engaged, but less busy, that small amount of rest in this busy summer season. It's going to be hard. You can still do it.
Divine right to rest. My blood is full of farming that didn't feed us. My blood is full of church, and I dream about trains to cities. I wake up before I'm ready to go to work. Church to escape the fields. Trains to make it to Sunday. Work is a slow burn. Sleep is fat, the kind your brain is made of. Eat and feed. The system is a cycle, not a seesaw. We have come to serve man. Soylent Black is. Have you ever sat in a hospital chapel without sighing? Go ahead and sigh. Have you ever dozed off in church? It's the perfect place. Go ahead. Would your divine creator begrudge you a little break? Stillness is our primal becoming. How we live up to ourselves, makes the most, shapes action. A beating heart rests every chance it gets. Two and a half years after President Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, 2 months after the end of the Civil War, white Texans continued to enslave people of African descent. United States soldiers came to Galveston, and on June 19th, 1865, Union General Gordon Granger issued General Order Number 3, proclaiming that all persons still enslaved in Texas were to be free. There's a myth that those enslaved did not know that they had been declared free, but the word of emancipation had spread. They knew, but they also knew that their enslavers had weapons, and they did not. The arrival of the army changed everything. The emancipated Texans embraced their liberty once the army forced their enslavers to release them, and many set out to find long-lost loved ones and make their own way in the world rather than continue to labor for those who had enslaved them. Tricia Hersey, author of Rest is Resistance, a Manifesto, and known on social media as Nap Bishop of the Nap Ministry, traces her own exhaustion and the exhaustion of Black people in our culture back to the enslavement of her ancestors. Their labor was stolen, their rest was stolen, and the wealth generated by their enslavers reinforced white supremacy. Capitalism as we know it was built on the stolen labor of Black people. Black lives as commodities, not individuals, used to concentrate wealth with the white ruling class. Hersey sees it continued in the grind culture to get ahead, keep up, stay afloat. Rest is resistance comes from a specifically Black lens, but liberation from grind culture is for everybody. I know this because I hear it in how we greet one another. When we meet, we recite a litany of how busy we are, how tired we are. I know not all of us are the same kind of busy or the same kind of tired. I hear about how you're working, parenting, taking care of parents or children, supporting your friends, on the go, trying to access medical care in a system that makes it harder than it needs to be. Volunteering, participating in local government, advocating for that beloved community to come, and, oh yes, participating in the work of our congregation. All of these are worthy things, and yet, let's take a breath. You deserve rest, not because you earned it, but because you are human and your body is built for it. Another relaxed breath. You don't exist to be productive. I know this is a congregation of people who like to get things done, but you were not created to be busy. What would it look like for you to rest, to let your spirit settle all the way down? How can you do less? I give you permission to find that rest. Whether it's falling asleep in the service, like in Atina's poem, or embracing the time-honored tradition of the Sunday nap, or just closing your eyes in a good chair. How can you come back to rest more often? Is it saying Netflix can wait? Saying no to a gig that isn't worth it or that you just don't have time for, no matter how good it is? Or making peace with leaving something undone? Even if you do all the things, finish your to-do list, get through it and get ready for tomorrow, you still won't be perfect. And your individual actions will not end the world's suffering in one go. Do what you can, but don't do more than you can sustain. You deserve to meet the coming moments from your whole rested self. Note that I didn't say that the world needs or deserves your rested self. You deserve your rested self. Here we are together at the end of the school year and congregational year, the start of summer, in that pause between planting and harvest. Now is the time to let things grow without managing each individual seed. Now is the time to rest. Let's take one more big breath. I invite you to rise in body, in spirit, in all of the ways we do for our next hymn, Glory, Glory, Hallelujah. It is 2:01 in the hymnal, but you might have more fun singing if you put the book down.
So much sweeter since I laid
This poem is called Conspiracy, and it's one of my favorites. What if we tried to breathe together? Pull in, pull deep, release together. What would be born from a unified fulfillment of the bodily self and its undeniable need? What if we all try to breathe together? A shared breath is a moment, refreshment and a reminder of our more than oneness. And if we continue, if we slow and quicken a pace with each other, a murmuration of lungs becomes one organ singing. And if we continue, learn each other's rhythms over time, rising and falling like waves, we become a perfect thing, a conspiracy dancing a dance of need and met need, request and offering, feeding each other. What if we decided to breathe together? What if we opened the airways? What if we unblock, unbind, unfetter the hands that feed us? The earth, the air, and the water that hold us and shape us were breathing together before we found ourselves existing. And so they will continue after we're gone. Imagine our final goodbye coming later than sooner. Imagine our final breaths in paradise. It's not too late to slow down, fall into the dance, catch the vibrating air, and release our lungs into song. Anything breathing cannot help but breathe. But breathing together is a choice we make. to join me in the words to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Growing our ranks there. Thank you all, and thank you for a beautiful year. I invite you to rise in body and spirit where you are. Place your hands over your heart or reach out to someone near you, and let's sing our closing song.